Hi, I'm Rachel Chamness with soundwavesheal.com. This is Ascension in 5D Chats. It's the very first episode, and I'm so excited to bring Angelyn Nicholson at Color of Kismet, and we're going to be talking about community. Welcome to Ascension in 5D Chat, where we discuss what is happening with our planet's ascension journey. I am Rachel Chamness. I help Lightworkers connect to their spiritual helpers and light path. And we're also using very new equipment. So, hi.
Hi.
Angelyn, tell everybody about yourself a little bit.
I'm Angelyn Nicholson. I am a therapist and a healer, and I also have created a whole line of products to help people move through their ascension, through their development, spiritually, emotionally. So I do kind of like a lot.
That's what we have in common. We both do a lot. Yeah, we connect on that. Today we want to talk about community, and we were thinking it might be good to talk about how we met, which is pretty interesting. So I'm moving to the town that Angelyn lives in, and we met on social media, and we've been talking, and it seems that we have a lot in common, and we have a lot to do together in the future, right?
Yes. Things we don't even know about yet.
Yes. And the more we talk, the more we realize how much we have in common, how many ideas of ours come together, how we have seen the same things for the future, and how we most definitely must work together. And here we are talking about community in different places, and it's just really exciting. And it's kind of blowing our mind about community. So have you been out there, those who are watching, have you been thinking about community? Have you been meeting people that you feel very connected to that don't live in the same city? Let's talk about that, because I think that's interesting.
It's interesting. And it's so random, you know? We met because Rachel posted something in a group that I was in. And I'm never on social media, and I was on social media for 12 minutes or something. And I met Rachel. And it's been really, really, really interesting. In the first few minutes, do you remember you said something about psychic shame or psychic
Shadow.
Say again?
Shadow work, maybe?
No, you were talking about how, like, out in the world, because you were just trying to figure something out for, like, your normal life, right? And I was like, oh, I have some of those answers. And you were asking me about how people viewed psychics. And I was like, wait a second. Are you psychic? Because I'm a psychic. That's weird. Like, how crazy.
Well, the funniest thing is I had written a question in that group that was a little bit coded because I didn't want to get kicked out for something that was a sensitive topic, and no one answered it correctly, but you knew exactly what I was asking. You gave me the exact answer I needed, and you helped me a lot. I was asking a question about my child's school in the new place, and that was so helpful. It was just like you knew exactly what I needed. And then we just started talking, and then we're like, wait, we do the same thing. This is so crazy. Because it's just every single thing we talk about, it's like, me too. What? Yeah. And it's not just us. I think that there are a lot of people who are out there. What happens when you meet this community that's online, and how can you bring it together? Because I think that in this part of Ascension, that's what we're supposed to be doing, is bringing community together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's got to be a way. And I think that there's going to be really hundreds of ways as we evolve and figure this stuff out. But how to connect places, how to connect the people in your towns to people in my town, and the people in our towns to people in other towns throughout the U.S. I think it's happening already.
I think there is a component of ascension when we get there. There is a component of, okay, this is what I've seen as a medium. I have seen that we bring these communities together, these local communities, and then we connect to each other psychically, because I believe that, things might get different. So I think that social media, and I'm not just thinking this is messages that I've gotten, is really getting us ready to be telepathic, because in 5D, we will be telepathic. And so I think it helps us to understand how to like organize it in our brain. And I feel like it's all coming together. So I think we'll have local communities and we'll have telepathic communities or online communities. Maybe it will be, we can't tell. I mean, maybe it will still be like an online computer thing, or maybe it will be something more.
So how do you envision, Rachel, that we're going to be able to do that telepathically? Like, what does that look like to you?
Well, I talked to the Anshars. They are the future. They're future humans. So basically, they are ETs, but they're not, because they come from us, but they're way in the future. But they come back to talk to us because they need to make sure, I guess, that our timeline doesn't change, that we still go through Ascension, so that they are there. And or maybe it's not that cut and dry, but that's what it feels like. And then there's also all kinds of other types of humans that we evolve to. But these Anshars, they talk to me. I talk to them a lot. Every month I talk to different beings in my tag group. And so when I click, and so the month that I talked to them, they told me all about this. Yes, you're going to go through Ascension, and yes, that we speak to each other telepathically. That's part of 5D, and you're going to do that too. And when I talk to other beings who are fifth dimensional, they also say that, well, no, we speak telepathically, and you will too. And they have been trying to help us with that. I have brought through some help for laying the groundwork of telepathy. I think some people can do it already. I think that we're sort of beginning it. Our pets are telepathic. You can speak to your pet in your mind. Check that out. That works. But, I'm just saying that because I don't know the answer of how we meet, how we bring the community online together. I feel like we may all be called to crystal cities, and you live in what you believe is a crystal city, or becoming crystal city, Knoxville, and I'm moving there, and we've met online, and now we're coming together in the same place. So maybe the answer is that if you meet people online, you'll be coming together in some place as the crystal cities come together, because that's what I see. I see that cities become crystal cities. People are being called there, and then these communities grow, and then there's somehow all the communities connect to each other, and it looks like a band of light or ley line or something like that.
Yeah. That's almost exactly the way that I have seen it in my visions and stuff when I've asked about it. It's like almost like constellations is what it looks like to me. Like these little dots. Yes. And some of them are larger because they've been around a little bit longer, or they're getting to their height rather than just beginning or whatever. And then there's these lines that just sort of connect us all. And yeah, I totally think that's what it's going to look like. I think that it's going to be really tough. I can already tell that for me anyway, because I do a lot of teaching, I'm having a hard time convincing people though of this, hey, that voice that you hear, it's not lying. Just listen. It's just a hard thing. It's a hard sell, right?
That's actually the hardest part of mediumship, that I teach mediumship. And that is the hardest part, is believing that what you're getting is you're not making it up. I believe that the word imagination is it's a gaslighting word. Imagination is your spirit guides talking to you. It's you envisioning a new future. It's you. Sure, there's fantasy too. There's nothing wrong with fantasy, but it doesn't mean that you're making it up. And same with dreams. Dreams aren't, it's just your subconscious working things out. While that could be true on some level, dreams are full of going to different places, going to alternate realities, going to places that your 3D mind can't make any sense of, so that when you come back, it makes no sense. Mm-hmm. Or perhaps you're just zonked out so far you don't remember anything. I believe all of that. There's a 5D reason, and we just have been told that it's not, that we made it up. And so it's so hard for people to really get that. They're not making it up.
Mhm. I was actually having this conversation with one of my students a couple of days ago about how imagination, accessing creativity, is being open to source and being able to access, part of that consciousness. And, when, as a therapist, when I worked on people for, all these years, 19 years now, I have constantly, even before I came online and started understanding all this like spiritual stuff in my life, I was asking them to make sure that they were being creative, no matter what's happening. If you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you're feeling something that you do not like, what are you doing that's creative? How are you creating new things in your life? Because I knew even from long ago that there's something to that, about that creation, that imagination that connects us. And I firmly believe now that it's 100%, when we're open and we're receiving, to paint, to sing, to, it doesn't matter what it is, isn't that source?
Absolutely. I mean, just think about Mozart and how he heard the music and copied it down, and he never made a mistake, and he never scratched out a note. And there's so much information about that, like how his music helps the brain waves, how his music helps people. And it's beautiful music. It's amazing music. I use Mozart to learn as well. It can help you memorize. The rhythms of it are really good. They activate your brain. And here he was just writing it down. And writers too. Writers are mediums. They are getting that story. That's why they say it's like the characters talk to me. I don't know what's going to happen when I write. That's because it's channeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
agree.
I love what you said about about creating, because that's my favorite way to use law of attraction, to create something, draw what it is you want to bring to you. You know, not, you don't have to just imagine it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just drawing the feeling. It's all about the feeling for law of attraction. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be exact. In fact, it's better not to be exact. Just what would it feel like? What you want, what is the essence of what that feels like that you want, because then just attract that. It's so much easier than whatever you've cooked up in your head.
Right. Yeah, that's actually, yes, that's one of my like things that I hone in on. The emotion is always the vehicle. The emotion is always the vehicle. If you have no concept of what you want, but you know what it's going to feel like, or what you want it to feel like, that's all you need to get going. For example, if you wanted a house in a different city, and you just wanted to like move to a different place, but maybe you just find the vibration. No.
That's right. That's what we've been talking about. Let's find that vibration so I can get over there. Let's talk about local community. You have a great local community. I love hearing about it. So tell everybody about it.
Yeah, we have, I live in this place that's beautiful. It's in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. There are people from all over the place. Lots and lots of us aren't from here. Many of us aren't from here. And but people are drawn to here for a lot of reasons. It's a great town. But so now we have all these healers. You can find, you can find just about everything that you need. It's um, incredible, honestly. Because just a few years ago, it was different. You know, it was people were still in discovery. They were still trying to decide what to do, how to run their business. They were just getting calls to come here. But we're getting to the point where it's very exciting because there's just so many healers and light workers here.
And I feel the call to go there. I've felt the call a long time, which is hard to explain to people. They ask me why I'm moving there. Have I been there? How many times have I been there? Why did I choose it? And really, people are relentless with these questions. And it's hard for me to just be like, I just know I'm supposed to go there. That is where I'm supposed to go. I asked for a sign and I got 110 signs, or 111 probably signs to go. And so I am. And then I met you, and you're saying it's a crystal city. And then everything just made so much sense to me. And then since then, we've both just gotten so many ideas and things that we're supposed to do. It's like huge downloads.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And, I moved here. I went to school here in the 90s, and I liked it. but I left, I left. And for plenty of reasons back then that were good and valid. And I lived all over the place. And when I was trying to come back down to the South after I had a child, it was like, I'd like to look at Savannah. I'd like to look at, Charlotte. And I started looking at all these places, and it just kept being Knoxville, 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 Knoxville. I didn't have anybody here. I didn't have like a support system. So anyway, and somehow, here I am. And that's the story for a lot of people. So your story is not going to be unusual once you're here,
That's so cool. And you have a great community of people who treat each other like family, right?
Yeah. I personally believe very strongly in trading with people and bartering. And I can't even tell you how many people I have met this way. And it is, you can see it forming, you can see everything sort of working together. Recently I just bartered for plumbing. Okay. I, right. I barter for marketing help. I barter for social media stuff. I barter all kinds of stuff. There's been people who clean my office, people who paint murals at my office. I mean, so many things. And I endeavor to do that always, because I think we need that. We need to be able to say, oh, what do you do that's awesome that you love? Oh, you like to make, I don't know. Oh, I barter for teas. I have special teas made just for me, and I barter. I mean, things like that are amazing to me. My chiropractic, my acupuncture, like many things.
That's so great. So when you were first talking about bartering, I was like, oh, whoa, how many sessions do I need? Because usually it's Lightworkers bartering a session for a session. And then that I have to cut off because I just can't, I couldn't keep up with all that. So I do barter a little bit for sessions, but mainly with the same people every month. So barter, at first I was thinking, well, I don't know. I mean, how much can you barter? Like, how many sessions do I need? And then you were started talking about plumbing, your lawn care, your chiropractor. I was like, wait a minute, is that possible?
Yes.
So I love that. I love the whole Michael Tellinger, like I was telling you, he was talking about Ubuntu and his idea of going beyond the barter, which is that you build a community where he has it all figured out. Everybody does 3 hours a week to help the community. Everybody has a job, and that job is whatever it is that you do, that you like to do. Or maybe you help someone else as their apprentice so that you learn how to do a job you want to do. Or perhaps you just like to, you don't really have one thing that you want to do. So you're just going to try this and try that. And there's room for everybody. And it's not barter. It's just that, you work and do what you love to do because you love to do it as many hours as you want to work. So perhaps you like to work a lot. I like to work a lot. So maybe I would work, so many, whatever hours a week. Oh gosh, without advertising, just think how much work we could get done if we didn't have to social media ourselves. Yeah. Right. But it's a whole nother topic, but doing that, just picking your hours, how many hours you're going to work. And then that's it. And then you go and it's not even, I do this for you, you do this for me, but just like, we all do this for the community and it all works out, which, when he talks about that, he's really talking about trying to make that work now. But I really think what he's talking about is how it's going to work in Ascension 5D. So I get really excited about that Ubuntu.
Yeah, I think it's a cool concept. I'd not heard of it before you told me about it, but I very much am in line with it,
Yes. And the way that you can watch it on Gaia. He talks all about how you can be number one in discoveries and science and free energy, all those things. We don't need to pay for all those things. But the only problem he's running into is that you still have to deal with the outside world because you're only talking about a community, not everywhere. However, in Ascension, it's a model we can just plug in. And I just think it's amazing. So I love that you are bartering locally. And I wonder if anyone out there, write in the comments, do you barter locally? Do you barter for more than just Lightworkers sessions? Because I know Lightworkers usually barter with each other.
Yeah, we do. Well, in that way, it keeps us healthy, right? Keeps us clear. And
Oh,
plus,
Lightworkers need each other. I
we
always
get
say
to
that.
sample each other's. It's like, wow. I've been trading with my teacher, for example, for a couple of years. Every other week we trade, and I've seen her abilities and her practice grow and evolve in this way, and she's seen mine evolve and grow, and that's also very exciting.
It is. I've been bartering with one of my students for years, and she's amazing. And she and I have tried. It's nice because we can try out new things on each other
Right.
and see where that goes without any worries. Will this work?
Right.
And so, yeah, we grow a lot with the barter as well.
Cool. Yeah.
What about crystal cities? Let's talk about crystal cities. I wonder if anyone else out there feels like they live in a crystal city. I do not believe that where I live now is a crystal city at all. That's why I've been trying to leave for so long. But I have been thinking that there might be something that needs to happen before I leave, which we'll talk about in our next show, which is about seeding the light. But let's talk about crystal cities for a minute. So, where else do you see crystal cities? I see one in Virginia for sure. There's a lot of Lightworkers in Virginia.
I've heard there's one developing in upstate New York. I don't know. A crystal city, if people don't know, it's like Sedona. Like most people know that Sedona used to be just Sedona, and then it became Sedona. Do you remember when that happened? It was just like all of a sudden, everybody was like, Angelyn, we really think you would like this town in Arizona. And I'm like, I don't know. And it turns out it was Sedona. And now people go there for weeks at a time to get all their healing done, Then Mount Shasta was the next one that came up, right? And I haven't been there. Have you? Have you been there?
No, I want to go. What about Asheville? I feel like that's a place people are always saying, but I've never been there.
Asheville is incredible. The vibe is great if you're in, like a specific area. I believe, and people from Asheville probably would very much disagree with me on this, because Asheville is a cool place, and it's been a cool place for a long time. But I really think that they serve to draw people here and then sort of bounce them into Knoxville. There's Asheville's a destination town. It's a place that people go to stay in spas and be in the mountains, and there's a lot of money in that. And also, that's a very specific time of year, and there's a lot of incredible people there, but from what I understand, it's not the easiest place to maintain, just because the population is actually quite small of people who live there. And so a lot of people end up moving to Knoxville when they, and also a lot of people leave Knoxville and go to Asheville. So I don't know, but I do think that they
makes sense
together. It's symbiotic, however it is.
I feel like crystal cities are going to be popping up. They're going to be, or they've begun now. We are in ascension. We're in the beginning stages. We're in the hardest stage, is what I just keep getting. This is the hardest stage, and people are being called to places. People are being called to change their lives. All of 2020 really taught us, what we hate.
What are you willing to do?
Yeah. And, now there's a lot of fear about what might be required of us to be in community in the United States. And you said something that I really like, which is that if you make a community about excluding, that is based on excluding others, then you automatically make the exclusion a community. You said it much better than that.
Well, you just have to be careful, the way you do it, because I do think that whatever you're carrying in your vibration, you must be very aware of, because of that reason. If you're if you're carrying in your vibration, well, we're exclusive, kind of like what I was doing with Asheville just a second ago, actually. I do genuinely love Asheville. And I just think what Asheville wanted to be, they haven't had enough people yet to actually hold it. And here there's a lot more people to hold that. But I forgot what the question was.
What was the question? Excluding a community.
Well, my personal belief is that if this passport thing is going to be a go, there's going to be think about any other thing, any other movement where people have been very on one side or the other. If something pops up that excludes people from doing one or the other, there's usually a community that pops up in the opposite. And so I feel very strongly that if there is this giant movement toward the passport thing, there's going to be a giant movement toward we don't discriminate. We don't need, this is an anti-passport area, or this is a no passport lane over here. Something. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I feel like it's another thing that causes division, which is where we're trying to grow out of. That's 3D. And of course, we all go there in our minds. We have to watch it. No division. We need to come together. And it's also something that will kind of force us into communities, maybe.
I think so. I mean, anything that has polarity to it, that's, as things continue, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, right? Like there's more and more and more polarity. That's how nature is. And then once it gets so far, it pops back together, and we haven't popped back together yet. And so there's going to be more polarity, and people are going to have to set boundaries and choose what they believe and go the places that they choose, that they decide are the right ones. And there'll be more and more division until, I believe anyway, until we can all pop back together.
Yes. I think that's the biggest thing. We all have to come together, and in whatever way that it comes. Maybe it's the passport thing, maybe it's something else, but we just need to really we need to find our people. We need to find our community. Everybody needs to find it. If you find that your community is more online than local, maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something that you are supposed to find out. I mean, isn't that how we are supposed to come to these big questions? Like, why is this happening? Is there a reason behind it? What am I supposed to learn? Instead of, we usually freak out like, why is this happening to me? But more flip it to, but why? What is the lesson? What are we learning? What do I need to do? Perhaps more people need to move to places. Maybe people are being drawn, and maybe there's a reason. Maybe water will rise. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, there's no way to know. Mm-hmm. I think so much of it is about duality, though, and that's a difficult, the concept that you are all at the same time, light and dark, you're everything all at once. If we understood that and really could live that way, then we would understand that people who don't agree with us are still like us. They're just different parts of us. But that's a whole different thing, and that's a very, very, very difficult concept, I think, to really gain understanding on. I think it just takes time.
It takes time. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, everybody. Catch us next time. Angelyn and I will be talking about seeding the light, how to seed in the light in your community. So
thank you for having me.
Oh, it's fun. Okay.